Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here on the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler Virtual Book Club, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube platform. And it is another Tuesday, and it's a chance for us to spend 1,800 seconds together. I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy these moments when we get a chance to talk and chit chat and try to offer each other some motivation and inspiration, and then challenge each other, somehow challenge each other to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. So I hope as you're coming on in, you get a chance to speak to everybody else. I hope you brought enough snacks for everybody else, enough to share with me as well. But again, I hope you're having a fantastic week. And in case somebody's talking about for the first time in the game, they're saying, well, what is this guy going to talk about? What is this platform all about? It is about motivation. It's about inspiration. It's about challenging ourselves to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations, challenging each other to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. I was just thinking the other day about the political climate and thinking about the social climate and thinking about the natural climate with everything that's going on. There's so much to get you off centered. There's so much to get you out of your character. There's so much to call your integrity into question. And I just want to make sure that we are still having our conversations and chit chatting with each other and doing what we can to stay who we are, to stay true to who we were called to be, who we were born to be. And so I want to talk this evening about how to get out of your own way, because sometimes life will present situations and you're trying to figure out what you want to do, how you want to navigate, how you want to get around this, how you want to plan this, how you want to attack this particular situation. And sometimes we get in our own ways. We think of responses with what's going on in the world today. How should I respond? What should I say? What should I do? And we're in our own heads and we're in our own way. And so I'm trying to walk in purpose. I'm trying to walk to my destiny. I want to do what's right for me. I want to do what's best for me. I want to do what's best for my community, for my village, for my circle. And sometimes we get inside of our own heads. And I want to talk this evening about how to get out of your own way. How do we get out of our own way? I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. Those are the people that I see in the chat room. I see several of you online, but just come on inside the chat this evening. I'm so thankful that you all decided to spend this time with me. I really, really am. And I don't want to waste anybody's time. So I'll just shout out the LTTC VIPs, the first people that I see on my end this evening. You all don't fuss with me if I don't call your name, because the ones that I see on my end, they are Paula D, Linda Martin, and Annie Cutler. Happy Tuesday to all of you and to the rest of you who are coming in. Thank you all for joining me. Joel Thompson, thank you for joining. Thank you for so many others who are joining. I heard a conversation. I heard someone say earlier, ain't nowhere in the world I can do that. I think the conversation that I just overheard was between two people, and one was suggesting to the other, you ought to try doing this. Have you ever thought about doing X, Y, and Z? And the response was, ain't nowhere in the world I can do that. And I thought, wow, that is an interesting response. Let me just say this. If you haven't done so, please do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe. And after you subscribe, click on the notification bell. I don't know whether it's down there, up there, over there on your device, but find the notification bell. It lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've uploaded new content. But I want to get back to this conversation. One person was saying to the other, I think you can do this. I think you can do that. I really see you doing such and such and such. And the response was, ain't no way in the world I can do that. Now, never mind the colloquialism, never mind all the double negatives, never mind the dialect in which it was presented. But think about the response itself. Ain't no way in the world. Even before the individual could think about it, before the individual could say, I wonder what I can do. There seemed to have been this notion of just getting in your own way. And have you ever been in a position, in a place where sometimes you get in your own way? Cutler, what is that? It means that you hindered and undermined yourself even before you could entertain the possibility of being successful at doing something. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we hinder ourselves. Sometimes we undermine ourselves even before we get started, even before we think about the possibility of being successful at doing something, we counteract, we negate this whole thought of being successful, being victorious, being able to accomplish, being able to obtain, being able to attain. We negate the whole notion of that. We think that it is not possible. But I want to remind you, just as much as something is not possible, it is possible. So instead of being so quick to think about the impossibility of a thing, think about the possibility of it. We do that all the time. And if we don't do it, perhaps we know some people who do it. But as we're moving into the end of the year, now we're thinking about how to navigate the upcoming season of holidays. And perhaps you're already thinking about things that you're going to want to do the next year. I want you to make sure that you get out of your own way. We plan things for ourselves. We write them down. Those of us who will write our plans, we'll write them down, or we will somehow catalog what we want to do. We'll plot our course. But as soon as we plot the course, as soon as we start, we give up and we say, ain't no way. I had a conversation. I had the chance to be a keynote speaker this weekend. One of the things that I reminded those in the audience, those in attendance at the time, was now it's not the, listen, the middle of the storm is not the time. You don't quit in the middle of a storm. Some people quit in the middle of a storm, but beyond that, some people will start. Some people won't even prepare for the storms that are coming in their life. Some people just, they get in their own head, they get in their own way, and they think, nope. Some people plan for a storm that never even comes. And I'm not talking about naturally. I know, and right now we are certainly in the United States and down south, coming off the Gulf of Mexico and on the eastern seaboard, they're preparing for yet another storm. So please make sure, let's let me just pause and digress for a moment and say we should keep them in our thoughts and our prayers for safety and well-being, because these storms can do devastating and demolishing damage. So let's make sure that we do what we can to keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. If you can help out with resources, then do it. Be neighborly, be friendly, be kind. But again, a lot of people just they get in their own heads and they get in their way. I mean, think about it, and you don't have to answer here in the chat this evening, but say to yourself, have I ever started to do something? Have I ever wanted to do something, but I negated my ability to do it before I ever even got started? Someone suggested something to me and I dismissed it with thinking about the possibility of being able to do it. I hindered myself, I defeated myself, I undermined myself before I was able to even get started. And sometimes we don't like the reality of it, but we do. It's called self-sabotage. We do that. Is there a way around it, Cutler? Yes, there's a way around it. And we're going to talk about that. But the question is, why do we keep doing it? Sometimes I get it. We set unrealistic goals. Yes, that is true. Sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves. Yes, that is true. But sometimes we undermine our ability. Sometimes we don't see our value. We don't see our worth. We don't see our strength. And so we will get in our heads. We will get in our way. We do. And again, I'll talk about how we can get around it. But then the question becomes, why do I feel like I can't do it? Why do I negate it before I entertain the possibility? And then sometimes we feel like, wow, I can't even get out of my own way. Because we're struggling to get out of our own way. We think, Cutler, I hear you, man, but what is it? Why can I not even get out of my own way? Sometimes we just feel like our batteries are drained. Let's be realistic. Let's be honest. Sometimes that's just how we feel. And we have to ask ourselves, when it comes to getting out of our own way, we have to ask ourselves, well, do I have the resources to do what this person is suggesting? Do I have the resources to do what I want to do? Do I have the resources to make my dreams come true? And you have to ask yourself that. You have to examine and ask yourself, what is hindering me? What is stopping me? Why can't I get going? Is my battery really drained? What is going on? And if you're ever put in the situation to help evaluate someone else's situation in terms of what's going on, you have to ask yourself, well, why is it that you can't move? Think about a person who can't get out of bed. Sometimes it's because something is making them exhausted, and you have to ask, what is making you exhausted? What is making you tired? What is making you so fatigued? Think about the student who has to write an essay, who has to write a paper, and for some reason that student just you has writer's block and can't get beyond something. You have to ask yourself, is there some aspect of this assignment that you can't do without help? Let's step back and start asking the hard questions, or at least the questions that's going to cause us to see what's causing the stumbling blocks, what's causing the stop sign to be put up, that we feel like we can't move, that we can't go. Think about the employee who misses deadlines all the time. Is that person deficient somehow in organization skills and in the ability to meet deadlines? We have to ask ourselves, what's going on here? Because sometimes people don't actively choose self-defeat. They don't actively choose self-sabotage. Sometimes there is something that's going on, something that they need to work through. Perhaps there's some need that's not being met. Person can't get out of bed. Person can't meet deadlines. Person can't get beyond writer's block on a paper. What is going on? Those are not necessarily active self-sabotaging acts. So we have to ask ourselves, does the individual, or do I have the resources that I need? So that's one thing that we need to ask ourselves. And sometimes we have to ask ourselves, listen, do I really want this thing? Do I believe it's possible? Do I really want it? Do I think it can happen? Because our brains are so powerful, and that's a great thing. Particularly when when our brain is working in the direction that we want to go in. And sometimes, as we are hardwired for survival, as we are hardwired to go in this direction, sometimes we are so hardwired to go for one thing until we don't stop and give ourselves we don't think of the possibility of being able to do something. Sometimes we are so I don't want to say the word catatonic, but we are one direction thinking. We are one thing handling. I can only go in this direction. I don't have the capacity to entertain going in another direction right now. I'm doing this one thing. I don't have the capacity to think about doing something else right now. So we have to stop and ask ourselves, do I actually want this thing, and do I believe this can happen? And a lot of times the answer is yes, but it's just that we are on this path, we are on this trajectory, we have this inertia behind us, and we're going in that one direction, and we have blinders on, and we have to stop and think, can I do more than one thing at a time? Or is it possible for me to dot this I and then cross this T? Can I multitask? Do I want it? Yes. Do I believe it can happen? And the answer is yes. It may just require some time management, but we have to ask yourself these things. And then another question that we may want to ask is, if I am not pursuing it, what's causing me not to pursue it? What am I afraid of? Because a lot of times we don't proceed with things because there's a certain amount of trepidation, there's a certain amount of anxiety, there's a certain amount of fear. There's something beneath the surface that we have to deal with. And we have to ask ourselves, what am I afraid of? Am I getting in my own way because I'm afraid of something? And here's the positive side of that. Self-protection is a good thing, but self-protection can also be a reason for self-sabotage. You can be in guard mode and in protect mode so strongly until it becomes self-sabotage. So you have to make sure that you are not in self-guard mode so much until you're self-handicapping yourself. I want us to think about that this evening. Just get out of your own way. Cutler, well, how do I do that? Can you talk about that? You've talked about questions that I need to ask myself. You've talked about why is it that I keep getting in my own way. You've talked about why I feel like I can't do certain things. Can you give us some helpful hints? Yeah, I can try to share some of you also, but please tell someone to come on. Let's talk. Cutler, really, I'm just trying to help save somebody's life as we're talking about these things and talking these things through. I want to challenge us. I want to motivate us. I want to inspire us. I want to make sure that we see that we are able to get out of our own way, get out of our own head. We're able to put self-defeat on the back burner. We're able to put self-sabotage on the back burner. We're able to do all of those things so that our response does have, our visceral reaction does not have to be, ain't no way in the world I can do that. Because one of the things that we ought to always be able to do is to acknowledge our own strengths. Always know your strengths. Always know what you possess. Always know what you're capable of doing. Always know what you are able to handle. Recognizing your own strength is a way to build up your self-esteem, you all. Always acknowledge your own strengths. I said again in a keynote address that I did a few days ago, one of the things that I said was there is nothing egotistical or nothing conceit. There's nothing arrogant or egotistical or conceited about acknowledging your own strength and your own beauty and your own value. Know what you possess, know who you are, know what you're capable of doing. And walk in that. Don't be embarrassed about it. Walk in that. Own it. It's who you are. It's what you have. It's what you do. It's what you be. It's how you be. It's what you have. That's how you build your self-esteem. That's how you get out of your own way. And after you acknowledge your own strengths, what's organically you, authentically you, and you're able to stand in oh my God, you're able to stand in the power of you. You don't worry about trying to be anybody else but you because everybody else is already taken. The role of everybody else is already taken, but you stand in your own strength. You acknowledge your strength and you stand in it. That will help you get out of your own way. Another way another thing will help you get out of your own way is to make sure that you understand how to confront this negative self-talk. A lot of times it's not just other people talking to us, but it's us talking to ourselves. Listen, one of the reasons sometimes people talk to us any kind of way is because we talk to ourselves any kind of way. So one of the things that we need to do is to learn how to try to silence the voice that tells us what you're not good at, what you can't do, what you're not capable of doing, that you're going to fail if you try, that you're not even worth starting. So we have to learn how to confront the negative self-talk, the inner voice that we hear within ourselves, because sometimes we entertain it, but we don't confront it. We entertain it, but we don't confront it. And we walk around in such a way that we welcome everybody else's negative self-talk, negative talk, because we've been talking negatively to ourselves the whole time. Learn how to confront the negative self-talk that tells you that you're not good enough, that you're going to fail. Just learn how to confront it. Don't just acknowledge it, but confront it. And as you are confronting the negative self-talk, make sure that you engage in self-care. Know how to take care of yourself. Take some time for yourself. We're all under stress. Well, maybe not all the time, but at some point you will be under stress. You will be under pressure, and you will need to reset your mood. Sometimes your emotions may be all over the place, but sometimes you just need to reset your mood. You need to think, what kind of mood am I in? How is it affecting me? Let alone how it's affecting everybody else. How is my current mood affecting me? Is it causing me to get in my own way? Sometimes the answer is yes. And I get it. We all deal with things that make us sad, that make us depressed. I get that. But when you stay in seasons of sadness, when you stay in seasons of depressions, when you stay in seasons of just being lethargic, when you stay in seasons of feeling any kind of way other than positive, upbeat, and optimistic, you have to then reset your mood sometimes. You literally have to shake yourself and say, why am I in this funk? Why am I in this mood? I need to re-energize. I need to reinvigorate. And so maybe that requires you taking some time for yourself that you can relieve the pressure. And I don't know what it looks like for you. Maybe for you, it means getting out on a bicycle, going for a ride, or going for a walk, or going to the beach, or going somewhere. Maybe it looks differently for all of us. But make sure you engage in self-care, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. It's a way for you to reset your mood and restart your energy and to jumpstart yourself all over again. It's a way for you to get out of your own way. And don't always just give yourself a pass. Don't just give yourself a pass. Yes, forgive yourself for mistakes, but make sure that you hold yourself accountable. Sometimes you say, well, I did it and that's it. No. It's not that I did it and that's it. It's I did it, and if it's something that was counterproductive to who I am and to who I be, that means I need to forgive myself for doing something that was not good for me. And I don't just say it just happened and that's just it. However, here's what I need to do. I've still got to hold myself accountable so that when that lesson comes around again, I will have mastered, or at least I would have learned it so that I can make a C and not an F. Sometimes we relive these lessons and we're making F's over and over again because we are still getting in our own ways. But I want to empower us this evening not to give ourselves a pass and say, oh, well, that's just it. That's just how I am. It just happened. We need to hold ourselves accountable. Forgive me, but still hold myself accountable. We need to do that, you all. I'm so serious. Don't just give yourself a pass. Get out of your own way and hold yourself accountable. Say, nope, not at all. Not at all. I need to forgive myself, but I need to make sure that I set some strategies in place whereby I don't do that again. That's not good for me. That's not good for my space. That's not good for my community. That's not good for my village. That's not good for my circle. That's not good for my integrity. That's not good for my character. That's just not good for who I am. So learn how to hold ourselves accountable. And then another way that we can get out of our own way, we need to develop this growth mindset. Not the mindset that says this is as good as it gets. It's never going to be any better. No, we need to develop a growth mindset. A growth mindset says, you know what? As long as I am on this earth and the world is dynamic, the world is ever changing, that means I can change. I can grow. I heard someone earlier today say, I don't have to reinvent myself, because reinventing myself means there was something about the former self that wasn't good. But it does mean that I can tweak and sharpen and keep on going. But however you see it, make sure that you adopt this growth mindset that says, I'm going to grow and thrive and change and I'm going to be dynamic and I'm going to be successful and I'm going to be victorious. We have got to adopt this growth mindset. That's how you get out of your own way. I don't want to stay still. I don't want to stay stagnant. I don't want to remain in this place. I need to think and be outside of the box. And stop putting this pressure. I said this some time ago. Stop putting this pressure on yourselves to be perfect. To say, you know what, I'm just such a perfectionist. That's not. On one hand, it sounds good, but when you think about it, it's not such a great thing to say that I'm a perfectionist, because setting yourself up as a perfectionist sets yourself up for failure. Really, Cutler? Yes, really. I'm telling you all, I used to have that mentality that says, I'm just a perfectionist, because that's when it was me being meticulous about things. And you can be meticulous. You can want to get everything right. You can strive to get everything right. And we really should do that. But avoid this whole notion of perfectionism. What does that mean, Cutler? It means set goals that are attainable so that you can achieve them. How? With the resources that you have. A lot of times we can't achieve some things because we don't have the resources at the moment. So what does that mean? It means that I need to cast my goals to a point where I can achieve them. And then when I get more resources, continue to cast my goals and to set my aspirations higher and higher and higher and build up to them, walk up to them, do things that will cause me to lead up to them. Because one of the things that I want to get, sure, I want to set my goals high, but I want to make sure that I get the resources so that I can achieve them. So avoid this perfectionism mindset. Set goals that are attainable so that you will have something to celebrate. Celebrate your wins, celebrate your victories, celebrate your successes. In fact, set goals so that you can obtain and attain and achieve them, and then you can celebrate yourself. And here's another piece, you all. Commit to the work. Commit to the work that is at hand. Commit to doing the work that's at hand. Because a lot of times we say to ourselves, yeah, I want to do this, but what do we hold on to? We hold on to feelings of fear. We hold on to guilt. We hold on to shame. Shame about what we didn't accomplish in the past. Fear about what we might not accomplish in the future. Lay all that stuff aside, you all, and commit to doing the work. And know that when you set out to do the work, you set out to do a good thing. Yes, I said it in that same keynote. You have to that I did this past weekend. You have to recognize that when you're doing something, you have to say, this is a good thing. It's much like one of my favorite biblical characters whose assignment was to rebuild this wall. And he said, I'm doing a good thing. You have to recognize that the things you hope to achieve, the things that you want to do, you have to recognize that they are good things. And if nobody else tells you that they are good, you have to say to yourself, self, this is something good that I'm doing. And it has to be so good that you are committed to doing it. So much so that you don't let anybody distract you from what you are doing. That is one of the ways that you get out of your own way. You have to say, listen, what I'm doing is good, and I'm not going to allow. Some things we allow, you all, and let's not allow anybody to distract or to detour us from what we're doing. You have to say, like Nehemiah, I'm doing a good work and I can't come down. I'm up here on this. I'm doing it. I'm rebuilding it. I'm walking in purpose. I'm walking to a destiny. I'm doing a good work. If nobody else says it's good but me, it's a good work, and I cannot come down. And I cannot allow any of the subtle, unintentional, or sometimes overt distractions that come my way cause me to get in my own way. Because there's some things that we allow. You see it coming, don't allow it. Some of us have lived long enough until we know the tricks. We can smell them a mile away. But sometimes there's something that's kind of codependent about, I need that. It gives me a little high. So I hang on to it. I will allow. No. Don't allow that stuff, because if you give some things an inch, it will want to take a mile, and it will get in your way every time. Let's get out of our own way. Let's get out of our own heads. And let's be the person that says, I can do this. Let's be the person who says, nope, I recognize my strengths. Let's be the person who says, I hear this negative self-talk. I hear all of it. Now let me tell you something. Let's be the people who don't give ourselves a pass for not meeting the mark, but hold ourselves accountable. Let's be those people. Let's be the person who's committed to work and committed to doing the work. Let me make sure I have the resources. And if I don't have them, perhaps my sister, my brother, my neighbor, my friend, perhaps someone has some of the resources that I need. Let's make sure that we answer appropriately the question that says, do I actually want this? Yes, I want it. Do I believe it can happen? Yes, I believe it can happen. Yes, one of the things that I've got to do is first believe in myself. And then the next thing we have to say to ourselves is, what am I afraid of? Am I still holding on to feelings of fear and shame and guilt and that kind of stuff? And then we have to let that stuff go. I want to thank you all for allowing me to come into whatever space you've allowed me to come into this evening. And I hope this conversation somehow jumpstarts us to the point whereby we are ready to get out of our own way. Whereby we are deputized to go and help a friend, a neighbor, a brother, a sister, say, hey, maybe you're in your own way. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Thank you all for allowing me to come into whatever space you've allowed me to come into, whether it's your home, your living room, your front porch, you're out taking a walk, wherever it is. Thank you all so much. Let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's keep our heads up. Let's keep our hopes up. Let's stay safe. Let's stay sane. And please know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. And until the next time we talk, tell somebody else, come on and let's talk to Cutler. But more than that, you all, tell them, let's learn to get out of our own ways. Let's learn to get out of our own way. Again, I will see you next Tuesday when we get a chance to spend these 1,800 seconds together. Have a good evening, everybody.